and welcome back. Welcome back. It is yet another week of Farm of the Show. I'm Chris Dickerson, disabled list, Hall of Famer, joined by my good pal, ex-teammate, Mr. Paul Yanish, a man as deep as the ocean, lover of all things crossword and Tex-Mex. And we're going to get straight into it, buddy. First of all, Aaron Judge and the incident last night.
Yep.
That's the
What's your
big
take?
controversy this morning.
Yeah, what's your take? What do you got?
You know what? It reminds me of when I saw the video. It reminded me of being in high school when the third base coach has got the signs. You know, that first sign with nobody on, and you're peeking down. You got that sign where it's like hand on the hips, it's fastball, hands off the hips, curveball, and it's kind of like one of those blatant things you see. And you know, you and I both know it happens at the pro level, it happens at the college level. We do it in high school. Somebody's got the signs. Either it's a vocal cue or if it's a physical cue. So that's where my mind went when I saw that originally, because I'm just like, is he really that comfortable to just be peering off in like 2 seconds before the pitches, before the windup? And it's about that time to where it's like late enough. And that's where my mind went, because I basically had flashbacks of a particular high school game where we did have the signs, and I was looking at the third base coach as a left-handed hitter, and me adjusting my eyes off the course of the pitcher that much is very, very suspicious. So, you know, I had to imagine that there was maybe somebody who's picking up signs late, and he's just getting it as late as possible. Because if you look at the two pitches before that, Jay throws two sliders, and they weren't half bad pitches. But I mean, he spit on him. I mean, he didn't even offer him. Granted,
Sure.
I think a lot of people are taking this aren't taking into account how good Judge is, anyways. You know, we're talking about the former MVP who traditionally would spit on those pitches, anyways. But I think there's just, you know, I think everybody still has a sour taste in their mouth from Houston. But that was my initial thought. I'm like, all right, somebody's in the dugout, because that's the visitors' dugout, that's the Yankees' dugout. There's got to be something going on there.
So, a couple of things to consider, man. First of all, you got division rivals. They play each other a bunch. You know, I don't know off the top of my head how many times Judge has faced him, but he threw 6 sliders in a row. Okay, like it's a certain way by people because of who he is and the success that he's had. We all know this, right? And I think to your point about, you know, the maybe peeking at the first base coach, I get it. Like, and you're right, it's become prevalent at every level, man. The college level is just a joke. I could tell you some stories about what transpires there in terms of relaying signs. Like it's hard to understand almost. But in this current situation, you know, there's some familiarity there. You're dealing with one of the best players in the game who I'm going to say has an idea how he's getting pitched. He saw a handful of these sliders already, and you know, just the timing of it and the lack of, you know, I don't know that this has ever happened before. Obviously, it was blatant. You're on TV, everything's high def, right? Like it's for me. I think there was something going on. I don't know what it was. He had an interview after the game that highlighted what he was. You know, his response I thought was a valid one, but at the end of the day, he had a slider that was right down the middle into the restaurant up there. Like, it wasn't his first homer. He had a bunch of them last year and is going to continue to do that this year. So like, let's not jump to conclusions here with regards to what may or may not be going on. I don't personally think it was egregious. By the way, they're using PitchCom. I mean, the signs that are being given, if they're not dummy signs, I don't know what they're really conveying, but they got PitchCom going, right? I mean, if I read it right, so I don't know, man. I think maybe it's a little bit less of an issue than what maybe people were making of it. Was it maybe a little goofy with the, you know, them, you know, Buck Martinez, who obviously is a great baseball guy. They were talking about it on the telecast and referencing what was going on, and, you know, and maybe subtly, but not so subtly, making some insinuations about what might be going on. But at the end of the day, he hit a hanging slider out of the yard. I mean, I don't know. He's the best player in baseball almost, or in the conversation. I don't know if it's that big a deal.
Yeah, I don't think so. And it took him a while. And I thought it was good acting, because he kind of paused on the question. He was like, hey, what are you looking at? And he was like, okay, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, okay, here we go. And then he was like, oh, I was looking and putting the pieces together. Booney had just gotten ejected, which I totally get. And it was one of those things. And I think about I think there were some after effects where somebody was still chirping in the dugout. And, for me, I always think it's like, the spirit of Brett Gardner lives in the dugout where Brett is, up on the top, banging his bat, still chirping. But I think it was one of those things where it's like, all right, who's still talking? Is this something that's going to escalate? Is it something that I'm going to have to step out of the box? Is somebody on the top rail trying to go over, or like, at the top step walking on the field? What is this? What is the situation? And I think it's one of those things where, listen, he's super calm. I think he was in a place where maybe he could peek over. And as the captain of the New York Yankees, he explained that it didn't necessarily have to do with his captainship, but knowing that Booney had already done his part, he had stood up for him, he got tossed, and that should be it. He was like, he did his part. There should be no more grumblings coming from the dugout. If this escalates any further, I'm going to have to step out and let this get handled. But I think something was going on in the dugout that piqued his curiosity in the middle of the at bat, and he looked over. But I mean, if you're that comfortable, I mean, what a guy for that comfortable to peek off like that after six straight sliders and then get the hanger, and then put it in that restaurant. So
yeah, it's understandable, man.
Here, it's I mean, it's pretty bizarre, honestly. I mean, if you're in the box and if for the righty, his eyes are way off over here. It's not exactly something I would do. But you know what? Joey used to do the same thing. Joey, before the pitch, Joey would look at the left center scoreboard. Joey wasn't necessarily focused on the pitcher. That was Joey's cue, because he, it's not necessarily something that you want to stare at the pitcher. So, he does have a little bit of a grace period there. Joey was like, I mean, really exaggerated. You didn't even know what Joey was staring at. He's like, most people would be like, what does he look? Why isn't he paying attention? But that was Joey's line of sight to take the attention off and avoid getting that tunnel vision of the pitcher. So, it goes a bunch of ways, but I 100% where he's at, what his role on the team is, and kind of being the mediator in that particular situation. It just so happened to play out in the middle of an at bat.
Yeah. I mean, and I get it, man. To your point about referencing some of the things in recent history relative to the conveying of signs, everybody's got to be vigilant, right? And these are big games, man. This is a game that could have significant implications on like how the playoff race works out, right? I mean, these are two really good teams in a really good division. So from that standpoint, you definitely sympathize with where the Toronto where they stand on it. I mean, feasibly, they're just they're from a integrity of the game standpoint, they're just they're wanting to hold up their end of the stick too. But for me, I think he hit a hanging slider out of the yard.
Yeah. And this is no history, with Toronto and New York. I've been there back in the Jose Bautista days, where Joey Bats was always accused, and that was another thing. We would go off. I mean, there was some heightened animosity about Jose going back and peeking at the catcher, because he would do this thing where he would peek back. And I think a large part of that was, it was very suspect that he was essentially getting the signs, while he was looking back, getting into his stance. And I think that was something that ended up being very well known. The way he set it up is just getting a little peek of the catcher sign. So this rivalry, it's no short of controversy in signs and sealing and stuff like that. Like, I've been there, I've seen it on both sides. So we're gonna let this go where it may, but that's my particular thing, is that he's just playing mediator.
Hey, we're gonna have to give our old buddy Kevin Barker a shout out. We're gonna have to call him and see what he's on the ground floor over there in Toronto covering the Blue Jays. So I'm gonna call him when we get off here and see what kind of info he's got for us. We'll get him on the show here soon.
See what old Barky's got to say about it.
That's right.
Paul, can you raise your hand, please?
Yeah, got it.
There we go.
Yeah,
there we go. Welcome back. Welcome back. Mother's Day.
Hold tight. Old school pink bat. Yeah.
There we go. How was your Mother's Day? How was your Mother's Day weekend?
Hey man, Mother's Day was good. I shout out, like we said last time, shout out to the moms out there. I think you and I can both attest our actual moms when we're growing up, playing sports, doing the deal, taking us to practice, putting up with our crap, doing the laundry. There's a lot goes into that. We all have them to thank for that. And then here at the house, I got three dependents here at the house that happy Mother's Day to my wife Maria. So good deal there. But everything was good, man. Mother's Day was good. We got the kids making breakfast in bed for mom and the whole deal. So we're doing good. Give me your best Mother's Day story for you personally? Because we missed a bunch of them while we're playing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were talking about that last week, and 15 years in professional baseball, there were a lot of Mother's Day that we missed. And I think the first Mother's Day that my mom came to Cincinnati, we were playing St. Louis, and that was the first time I got to present her with one of the pink bats. And I remember that year I was swinging a K55, and just like you, I have the wristband, tied around the bat, and that's in her office at home amongst her other mom memorabilia with a series of my bats. There's a Joey Votto and a Jay Bruce bobblehead, along with the bobblehead of the lady that used to do the cookies in Louisville. But yeah, that was a special day, is being able to spend that with her. She's been on the road. I mean, we've gone to dinner with her. She's been in Louisville. She's been in Chattanooga, Huntsville, Alabama. My mom's been on the road. It's seen us grow up all the way through the system, and then watch our lives change in the big leagues. And so those are always special days. Particularly, it didn't, definitely had a different effect on me the following year. I believe that the following year, my mom was diagnosed with kidney cancer. So, that pink bat and cancer awareness kind of took on a unique meaning, very, very personal meaning to me. So I know it's a big day for all the players, and I hope they were lucky enough to have their mom at the games and get to spend time with them. You saw Mookie Betts. Mom was there this weekend. So anytime you got mom, in the crowd, to be able to share that, it's pretty special.
Yeah, just it's so cool what the league does, what MLB does too, just celebrating mothers just in general, right? To your point, obviously not everybody gets to play in the big leagues, but the ones that do, they celebrate them. But then the whole campaign for, it's just awesome. It's a cool time of year, and I just love to see the players embracing it as well.
Yeah, and there's been some tremendous Mother's Day moments too. The Dallas Braden perfect game, his grandmother in attendance. After his mom passed away when he was in high school, celebrating his grandmother on the field after throwing a perfect game. The Billy Hall walk off with his grandmother in the stands, really, really special. And then I don't know if you saw the Lars Nootbaar interview the other day, where they had surprised him with his mom, and he got pretty emotional, which is I can see that happening. I think it's a day to celebrate, but also to look back and reflect on all the work that moms do, throughout your entire sports career. But again, to share that on that day, and they had surprised him. And he said he wasn't going to get emotional, and he did, and you could tell that was his mom was particularly a special person in his life. They're best friends, and getting choked up. So that's what I think that epitomizes what the mom, how we feel about moms as athletes and all that they do for us, and having that special day to celebrate was pretty special.
No, for sure, man, for sure, cool times. What do you got on the ERA leaders in the major leagues right now? I got Sonny Gray at the top, man.
I can tell you this. I can tell you this much. I can see all five of these guys sitting at a table at dinner right now and just doing the Paul Rudd. Just be like, hey, look at us. Who would have thought? Not me. Look at us.
Well, we can both attest that I better stay humble, okay? Because ERA changes in a hurry, bud.
Hey, they do. But I'm saying right now, there's nobody in the room right now, if they can raise their hand and say that they saw these guys at the top 5 of ERA this year. In case you don't know, let me roll off these names for you. We got Sonny Gray with a 1.39, Eduardo Rodriguez with a 1.57, Alex Cobb with a 1.7, Justin Steele and Bryce Elder in the 1.84, 1.94. No chance anybody would have thought this list was up there. But I will tell you what's particularly special about this list is Alex Cobb. Alex Cobb's 35. He's been around for a while. Back in the day, he was like a 92, 94, but I mean, just like super free and easy. But as he got older, he signed a bunch of 1-year deals, still super effective curveball changeup guy. And I talked to Alex last year when I was in San Francisco, and I was like, I saw the broadcast the night before, and he's back up at 95, 96. I'm like, tell me what's going on. And he just said, he was like, listen, I got to a point in my career where it's like, listen, either I'm going to just keep doing these 1-year deals, I'm going to be a bullpen guy, and I really have nothing to lose. So he looked at himself and he was like, what if I go to Driveline? What if I have nothing to lose at this point? So what if I go and, I dedicate myself to this Driveline program, try to add some velocity. And he did. He committed, entire offseason, gained 2 to 3 miles per hour on his fastball, had a great second half of the season last year, and now he's in full form. But it's not like he ever had the stuff. I mean, he had the stuff to survive, throwing 92, 93. And now with now that he's bumped up, I think he's having a tremendous year. But I think that's an amazing case of just being like, hey, listen, it can only go up. It can only go up from here. And to see that benefit is pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, no, for sure. The word you're looking for is wily veteran, right? For Cobb, and I'm with you. Like he's in terms of stuff, it's probably arguably metrically and whatnot better right now than it was when he was younger. So it's not exactly wily veteran. It's like good. The stuff's really good. So the name that sticks out for me on the list is Bryce Elder, man, in Atlanta, rookie. Just getting going. They're having some trouble on the mound. Kyle Wright's obviously had some injury issues. Max Fried's had some. I think he could be the piece that kind of establishes himself if he can stay healthy and keep doing what he's doing. His stuff plays, man. It's a sinker slider guy. It's I like him to help the Braves kind of maintain in the event that some of their more established pieces have some more injury issues. But it's good, man. This is good for baseball, dude. The Twins on this list. Sonny Gray's pitching for the Twins in first place. Bryce Elder's pitching for the Braves in first place. So it's fun to watch.
Yeah, some new blood at the top. You love to see it.
Speaking of blood, what do you got on the Rockies Phillies interaction?
Yeah, that's that's an interesting one. Especially with the man, the myth, the legend coming back with just in the first week and already getting in a little kerfuffle here. But I also don't think that old Jake Bird is the type of guy who really needs to be saying anything. It's one of they're not exactly a force to be reckoned with. And, it's not something you necessarily need, a guy you really need to pop off. If he wasn't familiar with Bryce's resume, it's not exactly the guy you want to pop off to. And I don't know if there was bad blood. Again, I don't know the backstory, but regardless, pop out to left field. It's something you want to be getting into. But I was pretty surprised. Right. Bryce, he's a fiery dude. This ain't his first rodeo with charging after a pitcher.
Sure, or a teammate for that matter. But but this is what we talked about, man. With him coming back, like this is an element to the Leafs clubhouse that plays a pretty significant factor, man. He's an emotional guy. I mean, I'd go as far as to say, in some ways, that team. You mentioned his resume speaks for itself, obviously. And to your point about Bird, I'm going to assume he just got a little hopped up on Mountain Dew. I don't think that there's much backstory to it. I think that he probably made a stupid gesture when it probably wasn't appropriate. That being said, you like to see this is the kind of thing that can get a team going, because I did read some of the stuff that a bunch of the Phillies were saying. Robbie Thompson, the manager, Kyle Schwarber, obviously one of their other middle of the order bats, and there was a whole lot of, hey man, I got my guys back. Hey man, I don't care who on this team. If somebody gets into it, we got each other's back. And you and I both know, like from a clubhouse standpoint, that's significant, man. That can be the kind of thing that they gets them going, turns the lights on, so to speak, and that team has got some of the pieces that they can really get rolling.
Yeah, it's Yeah, and especially, but the scary thing is that you go back to the Edwin Diaz thing, and just anything like that. It doesn't take much. I mean, in a pile like that with a little scuffle, it doesn't take much for someone to get severely injured. And a guy
For
coming
sure.
off Tommy John, not wearing his brace, with all that shoving going on, I think that was the biggest thing. But to your point, is getting each other's back. They were very adamant about getting Bryce. I don't think it was necessarily about just the conflict of it, but I think it was roughly to protect his elbow from all the pushing and shoving, and guys were immediately just trying to pull him out of there. So, I think with that squad, I think you're exactly right. That might be a little something that lights a fire under their ass, and kind of like that team moment that says, "Hey, I got you. Let's roll."
Yeah, I think I'd go as far as to say this could be the type of thing that they look back on and cite as an instance when that team really kind of came together. I'm curious to see how they play. They're out on the West Coast. I think they're finishing up their West Coast deal in San Francisco with the Giants. I'm curious to see how the next 3 or 4 weeks goes for that team, because I got to believe that they're gonna get hot.
Yeah. So we'll see. Definitely, again, something to oh yeah, there we go. Make no mistake, nobody loves emotion on the baseball field more than him. It's true. But yeah, I'm looking at this video, and it's not something that was like miscommunicated or like a stare down. I mean, Jake was essentially, he was egging him on with like the clapping, and it was a lot. So good luck to Mr. Bird next time they face off. I don't think I think Bryce ends up on the right side of that for sure.
Probably more often than. Hey,
Probably
last thing real quick. I know we're coming up. We're gonna cut it off pretty quick. But hey, Shohei Ohtani last night gets the win. I think had a no-hitter going into the 7th, maybe. Almost hits for the cycle. Got 4 hits. Was a double short of the cycle. I'm sorry, dude. He's the best player in baseball.
Best, hands down, best player in baseball. Absolutely shoved, hit a ball damn near off the warehouse. It probably would have one hop the warehouse if it didn't hit the Boog sign out there up on the top of the gate. Yeah, that's a one hopper straight into Dempsey's restaurant for sure. Not to mention he's hitting 387 this year when he's pitching. It's ridiculous. I didn't want to bring it up. I was looking at highlights this morning. I didn't want to bring it up again, but I swear, like, he does something that just boggles my mind every time out.
Yep, it's fun, man. It's fun to watch. He's good. He's good at baseball. The game's not that easy, by the way.
It is not. But we will end up there. We'll end on Shohei, and we'll be back in a couple days. But we'll certainly keep our eyes open to what happens. I don't know if there are going to be suspensions with the Harper deal. We'll keep an eye on that ERA, because, like you said, anything can flip real quick. But like you said, it's great for baseball. Again, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. This is Chris Dickerson, Paul Yanish, Farm to the Show. We will see you all next week. Go get us a like, a subscribe, leave us some comments. This is a people show. We're here for you guys. Until next time.